Iran's capital Tehran and several other cities were in recent days the scene of protests over economic conditions and alleged corruption. The demonstrations also had a political tone, with the demonstrators chanting slogans against some political factions and government bodies. The protests began peacefully last week but later turned violent at some point, with some individuals damaging public property. Iran's President Hassan Rouhani has defended people's right to peacefully voice their discontent with economic conditions. He has, however, condemned violence and rejected actions that would undermine Iran's security and national interests.
Demonstrations occur in every country, except for very repressive ones like Saudi Arabia, where you're beheaded if you demonstrate. But there's nothing wrong with demonstrations. But I think President Rouhani properly says that violence is not acceptable. Protests are acceptable. People can voice their concerns, and there always are concerns because every government needs to be improved.
Certain regional and Western leaders were quick to take advantage of the situation in Iran. Among them, U.S. President Donald Trump, who posted tweets expressing sympathy with the Iranians just weeks after calling Iran a terrorist nation. President Rouhani had tough words for Trump.
The
man in the United States who wants to sympathize with the Iranian nation called them terrorists several months ago. He's a sworn enemy of the Iranian nation and is in no position to sympathize with the people of Iran.
The Iranian government has said that the protests have provided officials with an opportunity to better understand and address people's needs. The Iranian president insisted that people and the government have to work closely together to overcome the problems. But critics warn that meddlesome comments by Trump and other Western and regional officials are aimed at sowing chaos in Iran.
I think, first of all, foreign nations have no right to interfere in the internal affairs of a sovereign nation. It is not any of our business what Iran does and how they do it to maintain reasonable order within their country. Certainly we hope that they would allow the people to express their will. We would like them to have freedom of religion and various freedoms. But it's not our choice. It is the choice of the Iranian people to make these decisions and to do it non-violently.
The United States and some of its regional allies, like Israel, which have failed to defeat Iran on political and military fronts in the region, seem to see the protests as an opportunity to settle old scores. Trump's expression of sympathy with Iranians is especially ironic because he has relentlessly pushed to derail the atomic deal between Iran and the P5+1. Iran says many of its current problems persist because the United States has failed to live up to its commitments under the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action and encourages others to scrap the international agreement. British Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson also took to Twitter to express support for Iranian demonstrators. He said they should have the right to express their discontent. Some observers believe the comments by Boris Johnson and Trump have further exposed Western double standards. That's because Britain itself used an iron fist in the past to deal with popular protests. An instance was the 2011 London demonstrations, when thousands of people poured onto the streets following the fatal police shooting of a black man. The same heavy-handed tactics were used in Britain to confront students infuriated by tuition fees. And in the U.S., the Occupy Wall Street movement that began in 2011 was brutally confronted. Meanwhile, Western officials have kept silent on pro-democracy protests in many parts of the region, like in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia's Qatif region. Observers believe such double standards have seriously dented the West's credibility.